Manifest your desires while sleeping? Yes, and it works. I've used this technique to manifest a 6-figure business, a soulmate in love, weight loss, and so much more. Stick with me as we go through what the technique is, why it works, and a step-by-step guide on how to do this for yourself. So we know that when falling asleep, our subconscious mind is most open to new programming. Now, why is that important? Because your conscious mind is only responsible for 5% of the thoughts, feelings, and actions that you make every single day. Your subconscious mind runs the show 95% of the time. You are busy automatically making decisions throughout the day, not realizing that it's running off of this stored programming. It's said that we have over 65,000 thoughts a day on average. Well, 95% of them are completely unconscious and shape and dictate reality around you. It's also where your self-image lives, more on that later. And where did this programming come from? Well, our programming comes mainly from childhood up to age 7. That's when the majority of our self-image and that foundation is laid down. Things like parents, family, society, culture, school, etc. And sadly, society, governments, and the multinational corporations want you to have a small self-image. They don't want you to know how powerful you are, because then you wouldn't need them anymore. It's also much easier to control a population that is disempowered and feels small. It's much easier to get you to buy things in this consumerist society if you don't feel whole and complete within. So it gets programmed into us to make us feel afraid, small, and angry. So if you watch the news, for example, for any period of time and look at the majority of the emotions that they're pushing with their stories and their narrative, anger and fear, it makes us easier to control and more needy. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is we can change anything about that programming that we want. We are not stuck with those programs that we picked up from childhood or from society. But the problem is, most of the time, we never consciously choose to examine and rewrite these programs. We just continue thinking, oh, that's just who I am, or oh, that's just how things are. But that's not true. You can change it. You can change pretty much everything about yourself and your life, especially when it relates to what you want to manifest. If you want to manifest money or love, you have to change your own self-image around money and love. Specifically, how you relate to those topics. Your self-image around what you want creates your reality. If you have a scarcity mindset, for example, or a self-image that says there's always another bill, money doesn't grow on trees, if you have a self-image that says we're poor people or we're blue-collar working people, you're keeping yourself in an artificial limiting box of your own beliefs. And until you change that self-image and that belief, you will literally unconsciously reject the very thing that you want to manifest because you don't believe it's congruent with your current self-image. So how do we actually change this subconscious programming, right? We know it's a problem. We know we need to fix it to manifest what we want. How do we change the self-image? Well, as you fall asleep at night, your conscious mind relaxes and the doorway to your subconscious mind begins to open. This is the prime time for rewriting your self-image in your subconscious beliefs. So instead of thinking about what you want and then having your conscious mind always talking you out of it, we'll never have that money, the lover isn't here yet, that can't happen for me, I want you to do this instead. Number 1, start thinking about what version of you is living that successful life. What version has the money, has the love, has the success? And I want you to imagine vividly in your mind, while you're drifting off to sleep, being that version of you. You can literally make up imaginary scenes in your mind that reinforce and imply these new beliefs about yourself. Neuroscience shows us that the mind and the body cannot tell the difference between an imagined scene and a scene in, quote, reality around you. So the more you can imagine being confident, the more your brain will literally rewire itself for confidence. And when you're visualizing, always do it in the first person. Don't see yourself as third person like a movie. Neuroscience tells us that visualization works best from within yourself as first person, kind of like you're wearing a VR headset and you're seeing this new scene. Number 2, It's important here to shut off your senses to your current 3D reality. We want to be completely engaged in our imagination while we're falling asleep, ignoring present circumstances. We're gonna get a little weird for a second here, just a little bit, but know that we live in an infinite multiverse. There are infinite versions of you that you can choose to align with. So when you're imagining that new version of self that is living the life that you want to live, know that that's real. There's a universe out there where that's you, and that you can tune yourself to the frequency of that version of you. This is what's also known as quantum leaping or quantum jumping, where you're jumping into a different timeline by changing how you're vibrating, changes everything around you. Know that everything you want is within you. You don't need anything external. Reality outside of you is only a reflection of the reality inside, the mirror principle. So, you're falling asleep, you're visualizing scenes of yourself as that higher level version of you. The version that's confident, the version that's comfortable speaking in front of a group of people, the version that's successful, is wealthy, has a loving soulmate relationship. Literally walk and talk through different scenes in your mind's eye, like you're wearing a VR headset. Engage your senses here and know it to be true. Treat it like a memory. This is a powerful one. Like you're remembering something that's already happened. These are the ways that you can tap into the subconscious mind. This is how you can start changing that program. That is your self-image, because that's all it is. Your self-image is just a program that was written a long time ago and not through your control or your consent. As you're falling asleep at night, your brain waves begin to shift into theta, which is the same as a hypnotic state when you're under hypnosis. So the mind is much more open to suggestion and ideas, and this is our gateway to programming the subconscious mind. As you do this, you'll start changing your self-image over time. As your self-image changes, you're gonna start showing up differently to life. You'll start thinking, feeling, acting, and believing like that newer, high-level version of you. And when you show up to life as a higher level version, your life reflects that higher level version back to you. You begin to attract better and better things because you are leveling up, and the mirror of reality will reflect that back to you always. I want you to know you can absolutely do this. I've done this in my life, and it does take time. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes as you're falling asleep, but the power comes in the repetition night after night after night. That's what makes the programming go deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind. Then you'll start noticing that you are releasing the fear and the negativity. You're releasing the doubts, and slowly, slowly, you'll start shifting into that new, confident, successful version of self. You'll start to notice that your life is changing before your very eyes. So I challenge you to try this for 30 days and come back and let me know in the comments what's changed for you. What have you noticed when you experiment with this? A lot of this is based on visualizing and seeing the images in your mind. Check out this video where we dive deep on how to visualize correctly, some mistakes people make, so that reality will shift for you. Make it a great day. Much peace and love to you, my friend.